Guess what today is? Today is payday. So I'm going to walk you through what I do to my budget on payday. We're going to screen share. I'm going to show you inside my bank account. I'm going to show you inside my worksheets. And we're going to do this together. So stick around until the end if you want to see exactly what I do to my budget on payday. I am Sami Womack from A Sunny Side Up Life, and I am so glad that you are here this week. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment below about what you thought of this video. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, so this is how my screen looks on payday. I do one window with our bank account, and then I do another window right next to it with our budgeting worksheet so I can see both of them at the same time. So I go in here and I plan all of this like at the beginning of the year because I'm a super budgeting nerd and I like to really plan ahead, even if it's just a rough estimate. Okay, it doesn't matter how far in advance you do it, as long as you do it beforehand so you know what to expect. So what you're seeing here is my digital budgeting system, and I will link to it in the description. If you don't have your own version, you can go and get your own. And it is super easy to use, beginner friendly, it has a lot of formulas, automation, and it just is so much fun to use. One of my favorite features is that we have this estimation column right next to the actual column. And so this allows us to go in ahead of time and plan ahead. So you can kind of just peep over and see that I have already planned ahead for the entire year. It's not perfect, but it gives me a general idea of where we will be with our savings goals and with everything else, you know, the timeline, how everything will fall. So I'm going to start right here by going over to our bills account where our direct deposit goes in, and I am going to put this amount for the paycheck. So it's going to help all of these numbers be correct, which I'll show in just a second. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here to the register. Every single transaction has to go through the register. I'm going to paste value only so it doesn't mess up any of the formulas. So I'm going to select income, and then I'm going to select which category did it come out of. And I'm just going to put paycheck. You can put whatever you want for the description, just so you know what it is. All right, we're going to see this amount reflect up here in the estimated and in the actual, right? Because we did it here and we did it in the budget register. Then I am going to go to work on my bills account, since this is where we start because this is where our direct deposit goes. All right, so I already have these estimated what bills are due, and I also, you know, I've already looked ahead to what bills are going to be due out of the next pay period and all of that. So this is all that needs to be paid according to due date, right? The only little snag, and it happens a lot, is that out of the last pay period, I paid our rent and I paid our land payment, but they haven't cleared yet, as you see. So I'm going to have to grab these, copy them, backspace, and I'm just going to real quick move them over here so I can go ahead and click those as paid. But it's really important to do that because we can't forget about that money. That is how we reconcile. Or if you are old like me, you think of it as balancing your checkbook. This is how we were taught to balance our checkbook, right? What do we still have pending? Make sure to remember what you still have out floating. Okay, and then our water and our electricity, they're both on automatic payment. So I'm going to go ahead and mark them as paid. So I will go in usually a couple days before payday or right on payday and figure out to the penny what things like the water, electricity, things like that vary sometimes, but none of them have cleared. So I know that I need to leave this much money plus our buffer of $10. You can do whatever you want for your buffer. On the worksheets here, it goes ahead and it does this math for us. So it's super simple. And then it is going to take this 16, 13, 36 and it's going to pop it up here for us in the estimated. And then I have already went ahead and done the projection for the spending and the projection for the savings, the projection for the sinking. And if I was going to make any extra debt payments on top of minimums, which your minimums count as your bills, I could go ahead and I could just pop that in this little box right here. Okay, so obviously my estimations are not going to be correct because you're seeing this number as a negative. So we're going to move some numbers around and we're going to figure out how to make this into 0. So first of all, I'm just going to take out this savings. We're not going to be able to save what we thought we were going to be able to save. That's fine. So I've bumped that all the way to 0. I know right now that that's going to give us $149.52 left over. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can do any better. So with our spending account, normally I would allow $1,200, but let's pop over to our spending account and give it a look-see. Ignore this negative amount. That's because I just ordered my groceries literally right before I started recording this video, so it's okay. We're about to reconcile. So let's pretend like that isn't even there. And we have $114.30 left in our spending account, which meant that we have extra leftover spending money. Okay, so we don't need this whole $1,200, right? So we can go down to our calculator and we can go 1,200. Okay, I actually have 114 left over. I can copy. I can paste value only. Actually, only need 1085.70. Let's go up here, 1085.70. We're not adding anything to savings right now. I'm doing all my syncing. My syncing funds are good. I have those down here. And it's telling me that I have $263.82 left over. Another thing we need to remember is that we had money left over, right? So the balance of the bills account, I put that up here, and then the math is going to come out all the way right. So I usually just do this part for the bills part because like I just did with the spending, I know I'm going to kind of reconcile that way. So once I move all the money around where it needs to go, once all the money is in the bills account that it needs, the spending, the sinking, I'm going to have $1536.77 left over. So I can take this $1536.77 and I can put it down here as savings. I'm going to put it as emergency fund because I actually need to refill my emergency fund. Is that right? We know it's right whenever it goes to 0. Hence, zero-based budget. If you've ever heard anybody say that, that is why. We don't leave any money just hanging around. We give it all a purpose. So that is what we have done here. Okay, so now let's go and let's actually start moving that money around. What I love is that you can easily transfer back and forth through all of these. So it makes it really simple. So I'm going to go from the bills account into the spending account. And I can see over here, 1085.70. Okay, cool. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do another transfer from bills to sinking. And sinking, I'm doing 210. Okay, and then everything else will go into savings. 1536.77. Normally this savings account, I keep it 5,000, but we had to pay the land payment, which I didn't originally have budgeted in. We had to pay for some beginning work at the land, and we had to pay for some boat repairs. So that all came out of this 5,000.
And I didn't freak out
because that's what this 5,000 is for. It's for me to legitimately dip into when I legitimately need it. Okay, I'm done with that rant. So next thing I will do is I will go in this 1085.70 that I have allowed. I know that it's actually 1,200. I know that part's a little confusing, but I know that it's actually 1,200 that I had total because of the extra that was still left over in the spending account. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to allocate my $1,200 and I'm going to tell it which categories it can go to. Okay, and this varies and it's sometimes messy, not always perfect. That's totally fine. This is why we have an estimated side. So you can go in and you can play around with the numbers. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. 1,400 and I know that my spending allowance is only 1,200. So then I have to go in and I have to kind of like do the math. Okay, where can I take from? What can I do? And I can make it come back out to $1,200. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm like $500 over what I'm allowed to spend. That's not going to work. And then I go in and I play with the numbers and move the numbers around until it comes out to the total of what I'm allowed to spend. Between now and July 22nd, when our next paycheck is, I will go in and I will keep updating my spending. I will keep checking my balances here. I will mark off my bills when they clear. I will do all that kind of stuff and just keep up with it. And then when it is time for the next budget period, be right here, ready to go. So that is all for me this week. I hope that this video was helpful. Again, if you are interested in the digital budgeting system, I will put the link below in the description. It is just $20 and you can download this, and there's actually other tabs and other features to it that I won't go into right now, but just know that it is awesome, and the link is below if you are interested in it. Also, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up on this video if it was helpful to you. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me a comment below about what you thought of this video. All right, you guys, I will talk to you next week. Bye, guys. That doesn't make any sense. Oh. Yeah.